This is Crystal. Her life has been, well, ghetto, so she hasn't been taking care of herself the way she used to. She went from getting monthly facials and manicures to looking dusty, busted, worn out, tired, raggedy, homely. I'm sorry. Eggs are now $900.32, so we have to make something shake on a budget. Let's see what we can do at home. Hopefully, starting with that mustache.
Unfortunately, the allegations against me are true. I'm very dusty, so we're going to get right into it and start with some much needed TLC for my face, starting with dermaplaning. I am going in with some pure Jamaican black castor oil, rubbing that on my face, and obviously showing you guys my new razors from Marshalls that I was very impressed that I got on sale for $3. Once my black castor oil is evenly distributed all over the first side of my face, I do go in with my razor at an angle. I do want to note, this is not the formal razor that estheticians use when dermaplaning your face. You are a lot more prone to cuts with these sorts of razors that you can get at the drugstore, so use at your own risk and be careful. And I do my best to hold the razor at an angle. You have to kind of hold it flat, as you can see, but of course it is kind of hard since I'm a beginner, so I just do the best I can with what I got. I'm applying little to no pressure as I'm gliding the razor across my face, and I'm also pulling my skin taut, not too rough. You do have to be very gentle with your skin to help with allowing the razor to glide pretty easily. Pressing too hard and applying too much pressure will have you cut up. Naturally, I go to the next section as I finish the first side of my face, which is my chin and upper lip. Please do not mind that crater on my chin. I'm just a little girl who is stressed out, but here I am just going ahead and addressing the mustache and my chin. Okay. I make sure if I'm breaking out, which of course this week I was, that I avoid going over any active acne. You do not want to open that up and make it worse. So I am very careful to move around any breakouts I may have, but I'm also very thorough with the areas that I go over, but I try not to go over them too many times. And I save the place where I have the most real estate for last. Shout out to my cousin Rihanna. I just go over my forehead, which I really don't have a hairy forehead, but I do like to drag it down to the top of my eyebrows to clean that up while I'm already working on that area. From there, I like to make sure that my face is nice and clean, so I go in with a gentle cleanser and this new little sponge I got in a kit to gently go over to remove any lingering hair that I may not have gotten up, and also just to get all that oil off of my face. Once that's done, I do go in with my favorite step, my facial steamer that my mom just gave me, to go ahead and open up my pores before doing a face mask, because that does help make it extra effective. Actually, I'm lying. I think this was my favorite step because it was the first time I'd done this on my own, but I went ahead and did some light extracting on my nose prior to doing my face mask. My nose is my most oily area, and I had a little toolkit that came with a face steamer, and I decided to go to town, and my pores look so good after. After my extractions, I decided to bring back Old Faithful, the Aztec clay mask. I actually found the powder at Marshalls for a lot cheaper than they have it at Target and other places. It was like $7. So I just poured the clay itself in the bowl, went in with some apple cider vinegar. You don't need a lot, so I only mixed a little bit and made sure I just got the consistency I like. But apple cider vinegar does make it a lot more potent and drying, so if you have sensitive skin, I do recommend just trying it first with water. As you can see, I did have to adjust it a little bit for the consistency that I prefer, but after that, I went back in the bathroom. I took a flat makeup brush that I had that I never use and only use for face masks, and went ahead and applied that in a fairly thin layer on my face. You don't want to lay it on too thick, which is why I said you really only need a little bit, because it does take it much longer to dry if you pile it on, and it's not as effective. I I let it dry for about 10 minutes and it has your face snatched and tight like you would not believe. Feels like you got a cute little facelift. But from there, I just go ahead and take warm water and wash it off. And after that, I did go in with a vitamin C sheet mask that I also got from Marshall's. $4, baby. $4 American dollars. And for the sheet mask, once that was laid flat on my face, I did leave it on for maybe 10 minutes before removing it. I did not let it dry down completely because I was tired of having stuff on my face, so I was done. It goes without me saying that this was absolutely necessary, but I had to do my hair. Got in the shower, washed it, and then I went in with the Shea Moisture Mask. I did not want to go in with my Amika hair mask, which is my usual go-to, because baby, this is tracks on tracks on tracks. If you cannot tell, if you did not know, I have a sew-in right now, and while I love it and want to take care of it, I do not want to use my very expensive hair mask on hair that is not mine. But the Shea Moisture Mask is one of my favorites. It's super hydrating. I went ahead and applied that evenly throughout my head and put on a shower cap to look like your favorite auntie lunch lady. And for the sake of time, I did go ahead and put on my eye patches while I was deep conditioning my hair. As you guessed it, these eye patches are from Marshall's and also are $4. Everything is $4. I'm $4. After letting my hair mask sit for 30 to 45 minutes, I did go ahead and blow dry it with my Revlon blow dryer brush and went ahead and lightly straightened my own hair. Took those off and got into, well, I keep saying this, one of my favorite parts, but brow tinting has been my favorite addition to my routine over the past year. I used Just for Men beard dye from Target, any drugstore, actually not Target because we do not support them right now, but before that I just go in and clean up my eyebrows, brush them up to go ahead and trim them with very small shears. I do very minimal trimming with my eyebrows because I do not want to mess them up, and they also don't grow too crazy, so I don't have to do too much. But I brush them up at an angle, trim them, brush them down to make sure that they are not too long, and trim them again, and then I go in and I tweeze them. Of course, my light decided to die after I applied the dye to my first eyebrow, so I didn't get that one, but I do just go ahead and take the dye once mixed and apply it to my eyebrow with a flat angle eyebrow brush. The important thing to note is that this dye is not to compensate for places where you don't have hair. It will just stain your skin, so you do want to apply it as precisely as possible, and I do it in the direction of my hair. And I go in with a Q-tip after to remove it from any areas where I don't have hair so it doesn't stain my skin. I wanna let you know there's more to me. I wanna have your faith restored in me. I'll be on my way. Once I'm happy with the placement of the dye, I let that sit for 3 minutes. After 3 minutes, I do remove it from only the front corner of my eyebrows. This makes sure that it is not too harsh in the front and too blocky, which I don't like that look, so I remove it. Then I allow the dye to sit for another 2 minutes on the rest of my brows, which allows for a full 5 minutes, and I go ahead and remove that with makeup remover. As you can see, the dye does get a lot darker as it sits on, so you'll notice certain spots where you shouldn't have dye, as you just saw, and it's important to remove it as soon as you see it. After that, I go ahead and clean my brush to make sure it is ready for the next time I need to use it. And honestly, at this point, it had been all day. I was tired, and the point of self-care is to treat yourself, and it was no longer fun for me. So I threw on my pimple patch and decided to get back to it the next day. We woke up bright and early the next day, finally looking semi-human, and we needed to take care of these nails. And honestly, this is something entirely new for me. I am someone who gets my nails done twice a month. I have hybrid nails, which means they put a builder over my real nail, with the exception of a couple of Gel X extensions I had for broken nails. And my boyfriend loves to spoil me and treat me to get my nails done, but long term, I wanted to see if this was something I could do at home. I'm just tired of the nail salon and paying that much every month, so I started with cleaning up my cuticles. Once I was happy with my cuticles, I went in with this nail drill that I actually had in my nightstand from when I was getting Gel X nails and wanted to remove them at home. Honestly, I do not recommend this drill, especially for removal. It just doesn't have enough power, but it was cute enough to get the job done. I did end up having to fix my nails after this video and bought a more powerful drill, which I will link below in the description, but it was good enough, very beginner friendly, but again, not powerful enough to really get the smooth finish you'd need. I changed the extension and did some light cuticle work with the drill, and after that I did go in with my nail file and just did some light retouching on the shape. That is one of the advantages I had already having my nails as almond shape. It didn't require a lot of work for me to do the shaping myself. And after that I went in with nail dehydrator where my new nail growth was showing to go ahead and prep my nails for the builder. After the dehydrator, I did apply a nail primer that came in the kit that I purchased. After that had dried, I went in with the builder itself, which as you can see comes in the form of a traditional polish. I honestly, after using it, would probably prefer to use a builder with a brush that they use at the salon. It would just allow for a little bit more precision because this one for me was just a little bit messy, which I couldn't tell until after I had went under the UV light, but it was definitely pretty beginner friendly. I made sure to cure each nail in my mini cure lamp after applying the builder gel, and then I put it in my UV lamp for I believe 60 seconds after, and then went in and filed and pulled out my nail drill again to get it, just to get a little bit more of a rough texture to get the polish to stick better. I'm really not a fan of the UV lamp that I purchased. It was the cheapest option with the highest reviews, but it took such a long time for my nails to dry, so I will not link that one. I will link the new one I purchased, but I also think I was doing too thick of coats, which for gel polish, you have to apply really thin coats for it to dry quickly. But I went in with my base polish, and then I went in with my actual color, which is such a good dupe for my usual put it in neutral. I do 3 coats of that, but since OPI is not available to the public in gel colors, I did have to settle for this one, and I was really happy with it. And last but most certainly not least, we have my at-home laser that I've been doing for the past 9 months. And while I rave about this device and the results it's had for me, I do have mixed reviews otherwise because it is not brown girl friendly. I have burned myself so many times using this, but it has been worth it because I shave my legs maybe once to twice every week to week and a half, but it has come at a cost. I divide my leg into quadrants with a white eyeliner pencil, so that way it's easy to keep track of where I'm at when I'm doing a larger area on my body, like my legs, and also make sure I don't unintentionally go over the same area more than once, but I just go through section by section and burn all of that hair off, and it does require a lot of patience, but worth it. I was someone who was paying for laser hair removal for the past few years, and although I did see results, they were nothing in comparison to this, so I do prefer to do this at home, but it does take a lot of patience. So try it at your own risk. But that is the end of my maintenance routine. See you guys next time.